First off, I want to applaud Keith and the team at CFA for supporting the Canadian Young Speakers for Agriculture organization. Inviting young leaders to share their perspective on this stage is a great way to engage the future champions of our industry and opens us up to new perspectives. At MNP, we share the CFA's commitment to supporting youth in agriculture, but that's not why I am here. I'm here because the winner of this year's competition is Janel Van Dongen, and she's part of our MNP family. Janel's father, Peter, who's also here today, has been with MNP for over 16 years and is a member of our National Agriculture Business Development team. When we found out that Peter's daughter had won the competition and would be speaking here at the CFA, we reached out to Scott and Lori and just said, hey, it would be great if we could introduce her, and they were gracious enough to allow us to do so. So here we go. So joining us all the way from the Noose Bay on Vancouver Island in British Columbia, this young lady has farming roots on both sides of her family, including dairy, beef, and egg production. Some of you who've been around for a few years may recognize her last name. Janel's grandfather, John Van Dongen, was BC's Minister of Agriculture from 2001 to 2003. Last year, as a member of the Snapshots 4-H Photography Club, Janel competed in 4-H public speaking. After advancing through the club and regional competitions, she competed at the 4-H BC Provincial Communications Finals, where she placed first with a speech about value-added agriculture. With her win, Janel was awarded a trip to the Canadian Young Speakers for Agriculture competition at the Royal Agriculture Winter Fair in Toronto. Hosted annually since 1985, CYSA gives youth an opportunity to develop public speaking and communication skills by sharing their thoughts and perspectives on the Canadian agriculture industry. This year's competition featured 12 competitors from across Canada and even one from Scotland. Janel was named this year's Canadian Senior Champion, becoming the first competitor from BC to win the competition in the 38-year history.
Thank you.
So here to present her winning speech titled A Future Painted with Light, please join me in welcoming our speaker, Janel Van Dongen.
Thank you. Is it okay if I stand here? Yeah? Okay. When you picture the future of agriculture, what do you see? If you watch the 6 o'clock news, the future can sometimes look like the negatives from an old film camera, all in shades of darkness. But maybe, like when developing film, we need to see both the negative and the positive to see the full picture. What if we're looking at this picture of the future all wrong? Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for having me. My name is Janel, and today I'd like to share a snapshot of agriculture's future. A future painted with light. Before I dive into the future, though, here's a little bit about me. I'm a photography enthusiast and past president of Snapshots 4-H Photography Club from Vancouver Island, British Columbia. Our family has farmed on Vancouver Island for 7 generations. And while I don't live on a farm myself, agriculture is a big part of my life. I'm also a high school science student, so I learn a lot about the changes to our climate. And sadly, I've noticed the industry that shaped so much of who I am is often blamed for these changes. But should it be? To answer this question, it's helpful to first reframe our understanding of climate change. According to the United Nations, climate change refers to long-term shifts in temperatures and weather patterns. These shifts are disruptive to all species on Earth, so a lot of focus is on how we can reverse climate change. But here's a different way to look at things. Ever since the Earth formed some 4.6 billion years ago, the climate has fluctuated many times, and our planet carries on. What makes this time so different? To quote journalist Joss Fong, the simple truth about climate change is that it isn't new to the planet, but civilization is. Maybe trying to reverse climate change isn't the best approach, because climate change isn't meant to be reversed. It's a natural process the Earth goes through. We've just pushed that process to a point where the Earth can't keep up. Instead of trying to fix our climate, a better approach is to help restore natural systems we've thrown out of balance. And that's where agriculture comes in. There are countless examples of how farming can help reset some of these systems, from planting cover crops to creating habitat for native pollinators. For today, I'd like to focus on strategic grazing and how it can be used across the country to improve our climate. Let's start by taking a trip to the heart of the last best West. Picture the Canadian prairies hundreds of years ago. Grasses whisper in the breeze, birds swoop overhead, herds of bison roam freely, and the earth feels alive. Welcome to the grasslands. While they aren't often covered in the media, grasslands are an incredibly valuable biome. This is due to the native grass species, which sequester carbon from the atmosphere and store it in their root systems. To do this effectively, however, the grasses need to be in good health. In the past, grasses have relied on bison to graze away last year's growth and make room for new shoots popping up in the spring. But with the dwindling bison population, the health of the grasslands is compromised, which is where cattle can help. Cattle and bison are both large herbivores that, through grazing, can encourage new grass growth. By introducing cattle to the grasslands, it's a win for both the ecosystem and the ranchers who manage the cattle. The ecosystem is revitalized, and the ranchers raise herds of free-range, grass-fed, all-around happy cows. If you are interested in learning more about grasslands and grazing, I highly recommend watching the Canadian short documentary Guardians of the Grasslands, which is what got me interested in this topic to start with. Strategic grazing can benefit more ecosystems than just the grasslands. In fact, it's already being used in my home province for forest fire prevention. Many of you know that over the last few years, British Columbia has faced record-breaking wildfires. But what's interesting is that these fires aren't new, nor do they have to be as destructive. Wildfires are another naturally occurring system, and low-intensity fires actually help renew the earth. First Nations peoples have recognized this for thousands of years and have incorporated practices such as ceremonial burning into their way of life. This rejuvenates the land while also reducing the size and intensity of naturally occurring fires. In this case, disturbance is key. Following this way of thinking, we can encourage more beneficial disturbance through strategic grazing. Basically, it's like a spy movie. The cows are getting deployed like secret agents. But their mission isn't to spy. No, their mission is to mow grass. Before the mission commences, an at-risk area is identified, and the goals and parameters of the mission are set to ensure it will benefit everyone. And then, deploy the bovine tactical team. Through grazing, the risk of high-intensity fires is reduced, and the cows think they're in a spy movie. It's another win-win. And overall, that's the mission, a win for both agriculture and the climate. There are so many more examples of how we can create these win-wins. But what's even more encouraging is that the people behind agriculture are deeply committed to ensuring these wins happen. Just like how it isn't a great camera that takes a great photo, but a great photographer. It's all of you that give me the most hope. A last note. The word photography stems from two Greek words, photo, meaning light, and grapheme, meaning to represent with lines. Photography literally means to paint with light. I truly hope I have shared a snapshot of the future that inspires you to believe in what is possible for agriculture. After all, the future is in our hands. Let's paint it with light. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. And if you don't mind, I just have one more thing that I'd like to do, if you don't mind. I will let you know that was my first ever standing ovation, so that meant so much to me. If you don't mind, I'd like to take a selfie with everyone. So.
Sucks to be you, because here I am.
Yeah. Let's see. My arms aren't very long, but I can get most of it. Okay. Well. 1, 2, 3, agriculture.